All right, good morning. Thank you for being here today. This is an important week for many Pennsylvania families. Across the Commonwealth, students are heading back to school and parents are focused on their children's education, their safety, and their development. Today's announcement will greatly impact all three. As Attorney General of Pennsylvania, I'm proud to announce that we have reached a landmark settlement with Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. This settlement will bring significant resources to Pennsylvania and substantive changes to the way the young users interact with Facebook and Instagram. As always, the settlement is subject to the approval of a judge and remains pending until approved by the court. This settlement comes amidst a legal battle that Pennsylvania, along with nearly every other state, were waging against Meta. Our bipartisan coalition contended that Meta intentionally designed Facebook and Instagram to attract, engage, and ultimately addict young users, while misleading the public about the serious mental health harms children can experience from these platforms. Our lawsuit also alleged violations of Pennsylvania's consumer protection laws, including deceptive marketing practices and use of addictive design features that can harm consumers, particularly young people. In fact, a trial had just begun in California when the settlement was reached. My office was actively engaged in that suit, and members of my public protection division standing here with me today were in the courtroom in California. We can all be proud of the part that Pennsylvania played in this outcome. This settlement will bring the following: a complete transformation of the young user's experience on those platforms, which I will explain, and hundreds of millions of dollars to the Commonwealth over the course of the next 9 years. This action reflects one of my top priorities as Attorney General, protecting our children from technology companies that put growth at all costs ahead of the well-being of the people who use the platforms. This has been a long time coming for our nation and especially our Commonwealth. This settlement is significant both in terms of monetary amounts and, most importantly, to the injunctive relief that we have won, which will positively impact the mental health of young people who utilize Meta's popular apps. Nationally, up to $17.1 billion will be returned through the settlement. This marks the largest settlement in history involving a big tech company. A portion of that is contingent upon industry-wide adoption of the terms I'm about to discuss. If those terms are achieved across the industry, that would bring additional dollars to Pennsylvania and the rest of the settling states. In total, Pennsylvania will receive $516 million and potentially up to $729 million. This money will remediate social media harms for youth across the Commonwealth. But to be very clear, this settlement is not just about money. It includes meaningful protections aimed at addressing the harms that social media can cause young people. And that is what I want to focus on today, because this is the part of the settlement that will change the lives of young people throughout Pennsylvania. These are some of the key improvements this settlement includes, and we're going to go through these. Effective age assurance framework. This will more effectively verify the age of young users and ensure that protections are appropriately applied to children. 2-hour daily limit for kids on all Meta platforms. Kids will have a combined 2-hour daily time limit across all Meta platforms, with mandatory pauses built into that limit. Productive pauses after continued use. After 15 minutes of continued use, a child will receive a notice to take a break. And after 60 minutes, will no longer be able to continue scrolling, creating a required break from the platform. This will significantly help mitigate the hours lost to what teens refer to as bed rot, because it will literally stop their scrolling after a certain amount of time. Nighttime and school hour restrictions. Those limits I previously discussed will extend beyond daily use, with a child's access from midnight to 6 a.m. At school, push notifications will be eliminated for children on weekdays from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. during the school year. Reduced exposure to harmful content. Teens will also have greater protection from harmful content through additional content controls, including stronger safeguards against bullying and content promoting eating disorders, suicide, and self-harm. Meta must disable visible like and reaction counts that have been linked directly to poor mental health outcomes in kids and teens. Meta must also disable filters that mimic the effects of plastic surgery. More parental supervision options. Parents will have more user-friendly tools to better understand what their child is looking at and how they are using the platform. Parents and teens will have the ability to require a chronological feed on Facebook or Instagram, limiting the impact of the algorithm in feeding them content. I want to say that again. Parents and teens will now have the ability to require, instead of the algorithmic feed, a chronological feed on Facebook and Instagram, and that limits the impact of the algorithm in feeding them content. There are additional provisions in this agreement, and you will all have the opportunity to review those details. There are various timelines to achieve those changes. All injunctive relief will be monitored by an independent auditor, with reports provided to attorneys general on the progress and the impact. But these are changes that matter because they directly address how young people interact with these platforms, how long they use them, when they use them, what they are exposed to on these platforms, and the role that parents can play in keeping them safe. And that's the point. We can't simply tell parents to do better while allowing technology companies to design platforms that are engineered to addict children and keep them coming back. Parents deserve better, children deserve better, and today shows that big tech can do better. Some just chose not to. Today is the first step in forcing big tech to do better. Companies that design and build products in the hands of millions of children every day have an absolute responsibility to build safe platforms and to be honest about them so that parents have the information that they need to make informed decisions about their children. As Attorney General, it is my responsibility to protect Pennsylvanians. And when it comes to our children, that responsibility is even greater. As a dad, today is personal because today's settlement will not only affect every Pennsylvania child who uses these apps, but it will improve the world that my son will grow up in. Today marks a new beginning for the social media industry. I am extremely proud and grateful to the team at the Office of Attorney General who worked unbelievably hard on this case, as well as my fellow attorneys general across the country who stood together in this unbelievably important fight. Our work is not done, but this is a meaningful start. To the children and teenagers who will be affected by these changes, I know some of you may hear this and shrug. You might even boo or roll your eyes because your apps are going to look different. But I hope that over time, you understand why we fought for these changes. You deserve the opportunity to grow up, learn, make mistakes, build friendships, and experience childhood without being subjected to platforms that are designed to maximize your engagement at the expense of your well-being. During our Teen Talk series on social media and mental health, teens told me, quote, "We know it's not great, but it's just too hard to stop. We're stuck." And one teen said to me, "You need to hold these companies accountable for what they've created." Those words, "we're stuck," have stayed with me since. I heard it this spring, and that charge to hold these companies accountable has motivated me. To the teens who spoke on behalf of a frustrated generation, thank you. I heard you and we are taking action, and today is the first time we can show you tangible results. You deserve to be protected. Parents should not have to become technology experts simply to keep their children safe online. This settlement gives parents additional tools, information, and protections so that they can make the decisions about what is right for their children. The endless scroll, I'm going to say this again, the endless scroll should never be more powerful than a parent. And this settlement goes hand in hand with the actions that my office is taking against other social media platforms, including TikTok and Snapchat. Actions I spoke about just yesterday in Philadelphia. We are going to continue to hold these companies accountable. A few months ago, at the conclusion of our Teen Talk program for the 25-26 school year, I told families that if big tech companies were not willing to take responsibility for the products they were putting in front of our children, then my office would. Today, we are showing them that we mean it. This settlement puts real guardrails around the way the young people interact with Meta's platforms. It gives parents more tools to know what's in their child's hands. It puts limits on how these products can engage children, and more importantly, it recognizes that protecting children has to come before maximizing profits. Our children should not have to trade their mental health to keep up with modern communication platforms. They should be able to be kids. That's what this agreement is about. Their childhoods should belong to them, not an algorithm. I strongly encourage TikTok and Snapchat, who I have recently brought action against, alleging the same harms and seeking similar results, to adopt similar safeguards so that we can present a united front in protecting and supporting families in our Commonwealth. That is a standard we are going to continue to fight for. As I previously mentioned, the settlement materials will be available to you today and is not final until accepted by the court. Now, if you have any, I will take a few questions and answer them if I'm able.
Sunday, I'm looking at Meta's statement on this, and one of the things they say is we're improving our technology to weed out who's teen, who's maybe less than 13. What assurances do you have from them that this technology will be able to detect who's who? And more importantly, part of their statement says they're just going to continue to advocate for legislation to make this law in many cases. Are you confident that that's going to happen?
So part of this so we are confident, and if it doesn't happen, then they will be in violation of the agreement, and we will all take action immediately. Obviously, we are working with Meta to make sure that they achieve these results. The majority of what we've talked about today must occur very quickly. Part of the agreement is that there will be an auditor that has access to not just speaking with Meta, but to behind the scenes of Meta as well. So we will monitor it. This is really important. I mean, I discussed the financial impact of this, but the injunctive relief is what is absolutely critical. I mean, there is no amount of money that you can place on ensuring that children grow and they're healthy and they're happy and they can be, productive adults. And so that I say that because the injunction part of this is absolutely crucial, not only to myself, but I know to the other attorneys general across the country. We will be watching. There will be an auditor to audit it. And, I'm optimistic that they have the technology to do this. It's been done in other countries. And so we feel very strongly about it.
I think in other countries, there's been some pretty strict laws on these requirements. Are you suggesting you'd like to see the U.S. take those up as well?
Well, we'll continue to work with our legislature on any way that we can help keep children safe online. But obviously that hasn't happened yet, which is why we've taken this course.
You
mentioned that the injunctions are happening quickly. Are we talking 2 months, 6 months? What does that time?
Some will occur within 30 days and some will occur within 6 months.
And then how does this impact other suits? You have at least 2 that you filed already. TikTok falls in with this $1 billion settlement. Are you going to continue your suit? Do you feel like yours has different components than what this is?
So the goal is to get the companies on board with this type of injunctive relief. And part of the agreement with Meta incorporates a additional billions of dollars nationally when the other members in the industry come in line with this injunctive relief. And so we will be very aggressive with those companies to get them to that place. And we would do that regardless of this agreement with Meta. And so we are going to continue to just go full forward. Go, ahead full steam. And, our goal here is to protect children. And we need these type of changes to occur. I announced yesterday our lawsuit against Snap. I announced a few weeks ago our lawsuit against TikTok. And we hope that they are watching this and that they recognize that this is the right path to move forward, not only for themselves, but for the children that they are using to increase their revenue.
Then you had mentioned that we had some of our Pennsylvania lawyers in California.
We did.
Even as of this week. What was our involvement in this $18 billion suit? Did we have lawyers in the courts? How did Pennsylvania?
Well, without going into great detail on it, very simply, we have been part of this lawsuit. Our attorneys worked with the attorneys from around the country with regard to prepping certain, the way that they would approach certain witnesses, things of that nature. It's just working on litigation just like you would on any other case. And you have to remember, when you talk about going up against these giant companies, the way to do it successfully and the way and method to do that is to work collaboratively with the other AG's offices, which is exactly what we did then, what we're doing now, and what we are going to continue to do.
I guess,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
sorry. I know it's back to school season right now and having phones at school and at home. What would you recommend parents to do in this meantime to control that use of social media?
I would recommend, and again, I draw this straight from being a parent and from, in particular, I go back to our teen talks across Pennsylvania with teens. And one of the most, impactful comments that they made to me was that parents, just talk to them, understand what they're doing, explain to them, the damage that could happen as a result of bed rot and of spending your time on social media. One of the things that I discussed with the kids during teen talks, I talked to my son about it and any other kid that, is stuck having to listen to me. But the reality is everything you say yes to means you say no to something else. And if you say yes to scrolling, you're saying no to interacting with your family, your parents, teachers, your friends. And so that's the type of conversation that I would have. I would also direct them to look and see these changes that were made, why they were made, and understand how critical that is to their safety and well-being.
E.T. Sunday, what would you say to somebody who looks at some of the protections on here, says parents really should have been responsible for protecting their kids against some of these issues?
2 things. Number one, as a parent, I can tell you that in the world we live in, there is no world that exists where parents who are fighting and working every single day to put food on the table, to get through the day, can stop to become experts in algorithms and technology and to be at an even playing field with the engineers that are creating these algorithms. So what I say is what parents need and why we are doing this is to enable them to have the power to be able to protect their kids by giving them the tools to understand how they can limit their children's access. I go back to the lawsuits against Snapchat and TikTok, where we talk about how the app stores and the rating system, how can a parent be expected to understand the nuances of the algorithmic harm that's happening to their children? they look at these app stores to understand, and they rely on these companies to provide the app stores with correct information. And so very simply, we want parents to know what is happening. We want them to understand what the harms are to their children, and that gives them the tools. They can make the decision. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Have a wonderful day.